Hey guys, what is up? Plastic Guy here, coming back with another figure review where today we're taking a look at this new Marvel Legends Hobgoblin figure. I'm so happy that Hobgoblin has finally arrived because I've been wanting a new Hobgoblin figure for the longest time. I've only got a couple Hobgoblin figures in my collection at the moment, one being, well, they're both old Toy Biz figures and they're way too old now. One of them I've had since I was genuinely maybe 4 or 5 years old, and he became like my favourite villain in my figure collection when I used to play with my toys all the time. Like, he would get an absolute doing. That guy has been through a lot, and for that reason I love Hobgoblin. I remember seeing him in the animated show back in the day. I'd watch that episode all the time because I had it on video, so I would just replay that all day, every day. So Hobgoblin really did become one of my favourite Spidey villains, and I eventually picked up the newer Toy Biz version, which we'll take a closer look at later on, but he just did not fit in with the newer Marvel Legends, and the last Hobgoblin Marvel Legends figure was selling for crazy prices, like just unreal prices that I'd never pay, and unfortunately it meant that I was without a newer Marvel Legends Hobgoblin until they announced this guy. So I was ecstatic when they announced him. I pre-ordered him straight away and he's finally arrived, and we're going to take a closer look at him. But before we do, guys, let me know down in the comment section below who your favourite character in the new animated series is. There was pretty much every Spider-Man character in that show. For me, I mean, obviously Spider-Man is my favourite, but I also really like Daredevil. Once again, I had that on video where it was Spider-Man and Daredevil, and I watched it all the time. I thought he was a great character in it. I also really like Kingpin in it. Let me know who your favourite character was down in the comment section below. And while you're down there, guys, if you could do me a massive favour, hit that like button, and if you're new to the channel as well, please hit that subscribe button. Let's not wait any longer. Let's take a closer look at this new Hobgoblin. So here is Hobgoblin on the same style of retro card we've been looking at all week. We get the Spider-Man logo up top, really nice colours, as I've said over and over again. Hobgoblin image, which is really nice, then Goblin glider, it says here. The display, nothing really on the bottom, just more really nice colours and artwork. Back, get the same logo, same image, Hobgoblin, image of the toy here, the rest of the figures in the wave. So we've looked at Shocker, Ben Reilly and Symbiote Spider-Man, and then we get the write-up. Deploying an eerie arsenal of pumpkin bombs and razor-sharp bats from his goblin glider, the criminal mastermind Hobgoblin has Spider-Man constantly on his guard. Yeah, really like these boxes. Let's get Hobgoblin out of the packaging. And here is Hobgoblin out of the box, and I have a lot of different feelings about this figure that I want to talk about, but let's just get into the accessories as we always do in these videos, and we'll start with the satchel here that comes separate in the box, and we are going to have to put it on under the cape as it shows us here on the back of the box. So yeah, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. I don't know why they did give us it separate though. I mean, I guess it gives us the option to put it on or leave it off if we don't want it on. I don't know why we wouldn't want it on though. We always see Hobgoblin and Green Goblin with one of these satchels. The satchel looks really nice. It looks a bit here like it's chipped away or like torn a wee bit of the plastic. Not a big deal. The detail looks pretty nice. I like the silver in the buckle here. Could have maybe put a bit more silver in the bag, but yeah, not too bad, and we'll shove that on later on. Then we get a pumpkin bomb, and I'm so happy to finally get a pumpkin bomb. I have a few goblin figures, including the Hobgoblin and the Green Goblin. Never managed to keep a pumpkin bomb. I've either lost them or just not gotten them on the loose figures on eBay, so I'm happy to now have one of these newer pumpkin bombs, and it looks pretty good. I like the green effect on the top, sort of. I mean, it doesn't look great, does it? But it looks alright. And then, yeah, the actual pumpkin itself looks decent. I kind of wish, I don't know, yeah, it looks alright, but maybe not have this at the top. Looks a bit weird. And then we get the glider, which looks a bit small, and once again later on in the video we can put Hobgoblin on there, see how it scales, how it looks. But I mean, the glider itself looks really good. I really like the front of that there, the red eyes and the horns. The bottom's got a bit here. I mean, it would be nice to see a bit more paint on the bottom here, especially in these circular bits. And then the back, yeah, looks good. If we compare it though to the Toy Biz one, this glider is way bigger, like way bigger. And to be fair, the old Toy Biz Hobgoblin figure was way bigger, it was a lot taller, and we can see that later on when I compare them. But I was expecting the glider to be more this size. And one more thing, I would have liked this glider to come with a removable smoke effect. I really like the smoke effect on this thing. It looks pretty decent, and I feel like Hasbro could have really delivered a cool smoke effect for this glider, and they've not. So this glider's decent, but this one, it's good as well. They're both really nice gliders. This one just does seem a bit smaller, but I do like it for the most part. If it would focus back on the front there. And then we get Hobgoblin, and yeah, he looks good. He looks like a very decent Hobgoblin figure. I think my biggest problem is he doesn't look as good as the previous Hasbro Marvel Legends release. For the most part, it is very similar as far as I can tell. It's the same head sculpt, but I do feel like the last head sculpt looked a bit darker and a bit grittier, and I do prefer that other figure. I think the other figure did have a lot of good qualities that this is missing, most importantly being the textured arms and legs. So we can see the arms here, they're not pinless like Shocker. Shocker looked really good. The Spider-Mans weren't pinless. I do want to see more of these newer figures on the pinless side of things. Yeah, looks good. I really do like the colours. I mean, the colours are really kind of showing off the animated series style of Hobgoblin. They're really screen accurate, but I definitely prefer the colours of the last Hobgoblin figure, and it will come to personal preference. I'm glad we get this look, and we can say it's a animated show Hobgoblin, but yeah, I do prefer the other colours. The feet as well, I'm a bit surprised that they didn't go for the likes of the wee like hooked feet that we've seen before. Here's the Green Goblin, and yeah, I kind of wish we got the wee hooked feet. I feel like we did see that in Hobgoblin. If we look, don't hit the camera. If we look on the wee image here on the box, we can see he does have hooked feet. So I don't understand why we don't get it on the figure. Looking at the back, I do really like the hood. The hood looks great, the way it goes down. And then we get this ripped up cape, and yeah, really like it, really nice. I do wish we got maybe another tear up the top rather than it just all being torn down the bottom. A tear up here would have really made it look a lot better in my opinion. But yeah, really nice cape. I think just overall it is a really good Hobgoblin figure. It is a very decent piece, and as I said, it's pretty screen accurate to the Hobgoblin on the show. However, the last Hobgoblin release I definitely prefer. If we look at the moment at this Green Goblin here, the old Hobgoblin release had the same idea, the same texturing in the arms and the legs as this Green Goblin has, and I don't know why Hasbro haven't given us that in this release. I mean, it just looks a lot better, and it is a shame they've not done it. As I said, I do prefer the other Hobgoblin's darker colours, but at the same time I'm happy to have this guy as a version from the animated show, so yeah. So I've been waiting to do this side-by-side comparison for the longest time, because this has been my favourite Hobgoblin figure in my collection. As I mentioned earlier, I do have one more, this guy, which we'll take a closer look at in a second. But this figure was pretty great. The main issue I had with him was he is on the taller side. You can see he is standing a lot taller than this guy here, and I don't know why, because the Toy Biz Green Goblin that came out around about the same time as this guy was your normal Marvel Legends sized, and I mentioned in the Shocker video how this Hobgoblin figure is standing like about the same size as Sandman. They were both really tall Toy Biz Marvel Legends. And this guy generally scales better with like Diamond Select figures, so it is a bit weird. I don't know why that happened. I do remember trying to look into it in the past and I couldn't really find a definitive answer. If you know why this Hobgoblin's pretty big, let me know down in the comment section below. And I'll be honest, putting these guys side by side, I really wanted this guy to look a lot better, and I can't really say that he does. Toy Biz have really nice texturing on the arms and legs that the other Marvel Legends version had, the Hasbro one, that they've just not delivered on this one. I know I've kept saying that, and I'm probably going to keep saying that, but it is a big difference. And I do also just really like the head sculpt on this figure. I also really like the colours, and as I previously mentioned, the only downfall for me is its size, and that's why I'm glad to have this guy now. He fits with the Marvel Legends figures a lot better, but is he that much better of a figure overall? I don't know. And here he is. Here is probably the oldest Spidey villain figure I've got in my collection. It is this old Toy Biz Hobgoblin, and this guy had the opposite problem. He's now too small. Instead of being too big or the right size, he is tiny. And as I mentioned, I played with this guy non-stop. He is battered, he's faded, he's bruised, and he was my favourite Spider-Man villain back in the day, which is why I have such strong feelings towards Hobgoblin. And yeah, this figure looks so good next to this guy here, and I am glad to now get this upgrade. And here is our new retro carded Hobgoblin next to the Wave 1 retro carded Spider-Man, and I will say these guys do actually look really good next to one another. I've been giving this Hobgoblin such a hard time because it has just fell short on certain expectations that I had, but it does look really good next to this figure from, well, it's not the same wave but the same line. As far as I know, both of these characters are based off the looks that they had in the animated series, and for that reason they do look really good next to one another. And despite the things I've went over, as I said before, he is a great version of that character, and I'm glad to have him now. And here is Hobgoblin next to the other figures that I've picked up in this wave. And I will say I'm really happy that I picked up this Shocker figure because I was going to give him a miss, and in the grand scheme of things, I'm way happier with this Shocker than I am with this Hobgoblin. And I'm not saying that this Hobgoblin is a bad figure, I'm not saying that at all. I do actually really like him, and I am glad to have picked him up, but I think he's my least favourite out of these four, if I'm being honest. Overall, the wave is really strong and this Hobgoblin is good, and I do like every single one of these guys, but yeah, I think he does rank last out of these four. Okay, so I've been playing around with the figure, trying to get, well, I've put the satchel on, that's worked pretty well, although it does keep slipping off the shoulder, but not a massive issue. And then I've tried to get him in the glider, and it doesn't look that great. I mean, that's about as far as I can push his feet in, and it's not really staying in place at all. I don't know if I'm missing something. I don't think I am. There's no pegs or anything on here. His feet are like hanging off the back of the glider, and this is what I was talking about. He should have had hooked feet. It just does not look right. The glider does look really small as well. I mean, it looks tiny. It actually looks ridiculous. I'm really kind of disappointed at the moment. I don't know why this isn't working better. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. That it's kind of just ridiculous. Okay, I've actually managed to get the feet to stay in. Oh, the satchels came off again. I don't know how I'm going to be able to get this satchel to stay on. So I managed to tuck the satchel up in here, and hopefully that's going to stay in place. I have just noticed the hood's all moving around, which is a bit odd. Push the hood down so we don't see his weird head. And yeah, so the satchel's in place, and I've managed to get the glider in place pretty well as well. His feet do still hang over the back of it, which I think looks utterly ridiculous. It does just look very small overall, just so much room here at the front and his feet hanging off the back. Looks so stupid in my opinion, but if you get the feet kind of angled out the way, it's not gonna come off as much like I had problems with at the start. So if you kind of think about pushing the feet towards the sides of the glider, it still isn't ideal, but does work a lot better. I really want to get this guy holding the pumpkin bomb, and I do not. Yeah, I think that's my best bet. So I think that brings us to the end of this review, and overall, here's the satchel falling off again. I really wanted to be blown away by this figure, and I really wanted to make this video and say really great things about this figure and how I finally got a Hobgoblin in my collection that I can be happy with, and that's just not the case. And it was getting worse as the video went on. I put the satchel on, it keeps sliding off the side, which isn't a big issue. The pumpkin bomb's alright, it does look good, you know, I'm not going to dig into the pumpkin bomb too much, but I couldn't get it in his hand. I could not get him to pose with the pumpkin bomb in his hand unless it just looked really awkward and strange. And then I tried to get him into the glider, and I mean, you saw it for yourself, it looks shockingly bad. I don't know, as I said, if I'm doing something wrong, let me know down in the comments section, but as far as I know, I'm not. Even just looking at the glider now, we can see how far back the feet bits are, where he slots his feet in. And when I was doing it, his feet were hanging over the edge. They weren't staying in this at all, and why would they? Because they're just weird looking feet. They're not goblin feet at all. So that was a real bummer, that thing. I mean, I'm not going to be able to take any pictures without really... I mean, I guess I could tack his feet in or something. The glider's going to be really fidgety. The figure itself is good. I mean, it is a great Hobgoblin that represents Hobgoblin from the animated show, but it just isn't as good as the previous release. It does not look as good, and part of that is personal preference. Part of that is me preferring the colours from the previous release. These new colours are really bright, really vibrant, and it does look good. I just don't prefer it, and I do understand that it is a whole issue of it being screen accurate. I do really like the cape as I see it again as he's going round here. The biggest issue is really the texturing in the arms and the legs. I mean, why did they get rid of that? Once again, I can only presume it was to make it more screen accurate, but would it really be so much of an issue? I just think it looks so much better with that texturing. Maybe it wouldn't have worked with the more vibrant colours, but to be honest, I doubt it. I think it would have worked fine. I don't know why they've done it. Just overall, the figure is good. A lot of things have annoyed me. I do really like the head sculpt. I've not really said that enough. The head sculpt's really nice. If you want a Hobgoblin figure, you might as well pick this guy up, because it's probably going to be a while until we get another one, and your only other option is getting the previous release, which sells for way over £100 and has done for the longest time. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Do you like this figure? What do you like about it? And what do you dislike about it? I really want to hear your thoughts on this figure in the comment section. And while you're down there, guys, if you could do me a massive favour and hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. I'll leave the link to my Instagram down in the description below, where I'm going to try and get some pictures of this Hobgoblin up there, but I can see me getting really frustrated and quitting on that one. Feel free to hop on over to the channel page and check out any of my other videos. There's plenty of other Spidey content up over there. But until next time, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll catch yous on the flip-flop later. Cheers.